All right, welcome. Welcome to 1 Million Cups, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Woo! Woo! Oh, there we go. There's the enthusiasm I'm always anticipating on a Wednesday morning. All right, who here is here for the first time? Look at all of you. Well, welcome, first-timers. Did anyone tell you what this is about? All right, well, I'll tell you. Every week here at 1 Million Cups, we have 2 awesome startups. We each give them roughly 25 minutes, a first segment and a second segment. They're going to have 6 minutes to give you a presentation, and then 20 minutes of Q&A. You guys will be the Q part, they'll be the A part. So as you're listening to their presentation, think of great questions. We will come around with microphones, and when you put up your hand, we'll stick a microphone in your face, and then you can ask that question. So that's how all that works. So let's see, what else do we like to say here in the morning? Oh, we'd like to thank our folks here at Kaufman. They do a fantastic job of supporting us in so many ways, supporting the 1 Million Cups program. And of course, we here in the Kansas City team are totally spoiled because we've got this great space. So please do help us out, make sure that we can continue to have this great space and pick up after yourselves when you're done. So that's all there is about that. All right, so our first presenter this morning, let's see, what is it? We're talking about customer experience, right? Customer experience mapping. Who here knows what a customer experience map is? Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, our presenter, Brian Surface, is going to tell you all about Touchpoint Dashboard, why customer experience mapping is important, and why they are doing it in such an awesome new way. Please welcome Brian Surface.
So there was one hand in the audience, I think, that I saw that knew what a customer experience map was, so this should be good. Hey, excited to be here to talk about Touchpoint Dashboard. Appreciate the opportunity. Our mission at Touchpoint Dashboard is to help our customers visualize, collaborate, and share their customer journeys. And I thought the best way to talk about the problem in the marketplace that we're trying to solve would be to share a recent journey that I mapped here behind me in purchasing a new device. And so you'll see in the map behind me, I have a picture of my broken phone. I have some rectangles. Those rectangles represent interactions or touch points in my journey. And you can see across the top here, and I'm going to try and work here with this mouse. Across the top, the rows represent stages in my journey. And then the colors, if I scroll down here on the legend, which is going to be hard for me to do, actually represent my emotional state, and I'll get to that here in a second. So red being very unhappy, blue being neutral, etc. So let's talk about my experience and my journey buying a new phone. I smashed my phone. I'm sure many of you have probably experienced this, and at first I was really upset about smashing my phone, but then I realized that this is actually an opportunity for me to buy the latest and greatest gadget. So I'm a gadget guy, and so I actually was pretty happy about that, actually. So next, so I'm going to buy a new phone. I make the decision. I'm going to start to go through my research, the latest and greatest new phones out there. And so, of course, I'm going to visit the manufacturer's websites. I'm going to visit the service provider's websites. I'm going to download a product app on my broken phone and try and navigate that and get the shards of glass in my thumb. I'm going to download a tablet app. And then I'm going to visit some stores. Actually, before I visit stores, I'm going to go to the manufacturers or the service providers' Twitter accounts, check out what they're putting in the social ecosystem. I'm going to visit some stores to figure out what phone I want. And finally, and most importantly, is I'm going to announce on Facebook and all the social media sites out there that I broke my phone and enlist the help of my friends to tell me what phone I should buy next. So after I do all that, let me scroll over here. I think I'm ready. I've narrowed it down at least to 2 different phones that I want to buy, the iPhone and the Samsung Galaxy S4. And so I'm going to go on to the manufacturer's website, learn about all the features, figure out how it integrates into my lifestyle, maybe try and play Stump the Online Agent. And finally, I'm ready to make a decision after I do all that, and I decide to purchase the iPhone. I'm an iPhone guy. I have a bunch of Apple TVs at my house. I have a Mac. It integrates well with my lifestyle. I'm not going to veer away from something that's worked for me. So I decided to buy the iPhone, but as you guys know, buying the iPhone, there's a lot of different ways I can purchase it. I can go to Apple's store, I can buy it on Apple's site, I can go to my service provider. And so I'm on my service provider's, AT&T, their website, checking my usage, and I decide, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go to the purchase section of this app, select the phone that I wanna buy, and buy it. However, when I click purchase, the app seems to crash every time. So I'm gonna go old school on this purchase. I'm gonna actually sit down in front of my desktop versus my mobile device, and I'm gonna go to apple.com, and I'm gonna make the purchase on their website. I wait 2 days, and finally, my phone arrives. And so since I bought it on Apple's site, I need to call AT&T and get my phone hooked up with their service. I have issues doing that, which doesn't make me very happy. And then finally, after I get through the troubleshooting issues, I'm able to enjoy my new iPhone. So that was my journey buying the experience. And what it's meant to illustrate is something as an exercise that corporations are doing more and more frequently, and that is understanding their customer experience and their customer journey and mapping the touch points and the interactions in that journey. And why they're doing that is to hopefully understand where in the journey, the customer journey, they're providing a great experience across which touch points, which channels, and understand which touch points they aren't providing a great experience on. So there's a whole lot of attributes and evidence that when they build these maps that they're assigning to these touch points, not just really cool visualizations and pictures. And a lot of times these journey maps and the number of touch points in a large enterprise is pretty large. I mean, we've worked with maps where we've defined 500, 600, 700 touch points. And so to collect all of the information, to visualize it in a meaningful way, and then to be able to collaborate and share. So you can imagine if a journey map with 500 touch points, let's just say spanning 5 or 6 different functional areas in an organization, was shared via Excel across 50 to 60 different people who need to provide input into that map. And then you have one internal resource collecting all of the updates from those 50 to 60 people, and trying to create some master document. That's the process today, and our solution eliminates that. And so I'm gonna really quickly transition into About Us. I apologize if people in the back of the room can't read this as clearly. So our mission, as I stated earlier, is to help companies visualize, collaborate, and share their customer journeys. The market is big. Every major industry vertical is represented in this market. We talk about the Fortune 2000 being our target market. However, we work with companies that are not as large or not considered a Fortune 2000 company. I'll talk a little bit about what we've done in the year that we've been licensing this solution. We're a 2-year-old company. We started selling revenue-generating licenses in middle of September 2012. There's a bunch of stats up here on the page, but I guess to boil it down, this customer experience space is growing within large enterprises. It's hot. Think of CRM circa 1998. This is the new CRM. A lot of large transformation initiatives roll up or falling under what companies are defining as their customer experience strategy. And we're part of that. Journey mapping is normally the very first exercise a company might go through to fully understand their customer journey and that experience and all the touch points and interactions that make up that experience. So in 12 months, we've signed up 33 clients. And here are some of the brands that we've signed up. And this list is growing. It's funny, even though we're not selling, our solution is not, you're not implementing Oracle or SAP here. Companies aren't spending $3 or $4 million with us yet. It's a lot lower cost, but we still have to go through the same process that a lot of these companies do with these large organizations. Long procurement cycles, having to answer technical questions because we're a SaaS-based platform hosted in the cloud. And that is probably, when I think of pain points within our company, the long sales cycles with large enterprises is definitely high up on those. This is the team. And so Jeff Hines and myself are both co-founders and both have an equity interest in this company. We work day in, day out, and we chat through the day. Jeff is actually based in Wichita. Hopefully he's watching this online right now. Guido and Amir are two technical resources, our programmers, and these guys have been working on our solution for the last 2 years since day one, but we hired them off of Odesk. So they're Odesk programmers. And then Jim Bergansel and Ken Tomlin, Ken's actually a local Kansas City guy, are two early stage investors that aren't involved in the day-to-day but provide some guidance and high-level advice. How did I do?
Pretty good.
How about time? Oh, I didn't see that started. Was I over? I was over. Okay.
All right, questions for Brian. Somebody has to be the first. There we go.
Very good question. So,
can you repeat that question? We didn't hear it.
Yeah, I'll repeat it. The question was, how do we get into these companies to get them exposure to our platform and understand about who we are? Two things. One, there's an organization called the CXPA, the Customer Experience Professional Association, that we invested early on to become a member and work to get our brand and exposure through this because it's an organization full of customer experience professionals. And they try and focus it mainly towards practitioners, and they're careful. They understand that vendors need to be a part of this organization, but they really focus the content to people who are practicing day in, day out, who are leading customer experience initiatives across large enterprises. So they've helped us get a lot of exposure. Second, we have a free trial on our website. So I'm going to plug it right now. Anybody is able to go to our site and click on free trial and sign up for a 15-day full access free trial. That's generated a ton of leads and interest, and it is really what has driven our pipeline. As a small company, there's things that we're good at, and there's things that, as you can all imagine, the people that have started companies that we need help with, and there's usually a lot more of those than what we're good at. But one thing that we're very strong in is our pipeline. We have a ton of interest in this platform. We get signups globally from some of the largest brands in the world. And that helps us. When they sign up for an account, we get a notification that we have a sign up. We get their email address, what company they're working for, their phone number if they choose to fill it out. And that is a starting point a lot of times for how we engage with them. Does that answer your question?
Great. Next question in the middle.
Hi. How do you get all of the data? How do you know that somebody shared it on Facebook and they tried it on their mobile and got frustrated and then went to the desktop?
A great question. And so the story that I shared was meant to kind of give you an example of how you could map an experience and maybe what a touch point represented. Obviously, enterprises, it's a little bit different of an exercise, and how they're gathering this information is through what's termed as a customer journey mapping workshop. And so big companies are they have visibility to these CX transformation initiatives at the very top level. And the CEO, the CMO are saying, listen, we need to organize and put and invest in our customer experience. And so a lot of times the starting point for that is to get a cross-functional team, so folks from HR, marketing, operations, together in a room to define the customer life cycle and to inventory all of the touch points that are involved in that customer life cycle. And so workshops are usually the beginning of where we gather this information, where this information is documented. And it's normally not documented in our solution. They're doing it via whiteboards, sticky notes, Post-it notes. And those tools are great. They're great for facilitating workshops. But what happens when you take a room of VPs from 5 different cross-functional areas and a bunch of people's time, you have to be able to document those sticky notes, those whiteboards into a solution. And what's being used today, if it's not our platform, is Excel, Visio, and PowerPoint. And those tools quickly become, there's a lot of shortcomings when you're trying to house the amount of information and data that is housed in these workshops. Does that answer your question? The workshops being where we're gathering a lot of this info? Go ahead and expand on it, because I want to make sure I answer it. Yeah, so I'll reframe that up. Think of it as an internal exercise. So you have a team from marketing, from HR, from operations, and they're sitting in a room saying, what is our customer life cycle? So what is the shop, buy, use, renew, depart scenarios, and who owns Touchpoint? So now that we got the customer life cycle built, they do this, then they do this, then they do this. Now, in all of those stages, in the learn stage, how are they learning about us? What are all of our marketing touch points? Our website, our Facebook feed, our Twitter feed, a partnership that we have with X company where they promote our brand. Those could all be touch points. And a lot of time that process is done internally, defining all of the different touch points. But they look at other information as part of this process. They're going to look to see, okay, now that we have these touch points defined, let's assign attributes to these touch points. What is the customer satisfaction score of this touch point? What's our internal performance metric for this touch point? If it's a marketing touch point, how many eyeballs is this marketing metric supposed to generate a year, et cetera? That's awesome. You want to come up here, man? You did a great job answering that. I'm not lying. I need a partner. Just kidding. Thank you. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. The enterprise and voice of the customer, that was really the start of this. I don't want to say start. It's my view. It was those types of providers really helped launch this whole customer experience realm, this gaining customer feedback. And now they're integrating that type of data, that feedback, and understanding satisfaction and experience metrics by specific touch points and interactions.
Question for you over here.
Yeah, I really like what you're doing, getting into the customer's viewpoint. That's a really good job. What are you doing, or what are you thinking in terms of business intelligence with this? If you have a customer journey map, are you able to extract that data and do some analytics, do some things like perhaps even identify the economic value of a CSI point? Things like this where, there could be diminishing returns. Can you get that data out of there and really use that for some business intelligence?
Yeah, I like to think of it, good question. I like to think of it more, first off, in our product roadmap is how do we become more sticky? I don't necessarily see that as a problem, but I don't know because we're still so young. But some of that is, how do we get data into our system? Some data from these other systems, we have a way to integrate, let's say, CSI or satisfaction level metrics, but there's a lot of other metrics that exist in companies that help them understand how they're performing on a specific interaction or touch point. So they might have, marketing related focus groups that market research companies do, panels that these companies do. How do we take that insight and understand it by interaction and by touch point? That I feel is the big data element, being able to get that type of data into our system. But tactically, right now companies are manually assigning and setting up that information in our system. And there is a way, once they get enough data, to export that data and probably use different tools to analyze it. But make no doubt about it. This platform, this journey mapping, it's a visualization play as much as it is a big data play as well. Looking at data, understanding insights and data in a very granular way.
Next question in the back here. Is it safe to say you're basically using Lean Six Sigma methodologies for voice of the customer and using that as a feedback? From what I'm hearing everyone, 3 or 4 other people saying is the power in that is getting that information back and being able to use it, getting a feedback loop set back that the customer can use and utilize and adjust their business accordingly. That's what I'm hearing everyone saying.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was a question or a statement.
No, I think it's part of it, and I'm gonna try and answer your question if maybe I understand it. If I don't, maybe reframe it.
It just sounds to me like you're using Lean Six Sigma methodologies for the voice of the customer and trying to develop a feedback loop that the business can utilize to hopefully become better and create a better customer experience.
Yeah, I would say that what we're trying to do is help companies and large enterprises, and I don't know if this is surprising or not, but companies understand what channels they sell through and are focused on things like that, but a lot of times these large enterprises don't understand their inventory of touch points, where they have brand exposure, where there are actually interactions that make up part of the experience. And we're trying to help companies visualize, you have 500 touch points. So then, so out of those 500 touch points, which touch points are more important than others? And then let's start to filter in data to help you understand which touch points are successful. So looking at customer insight across, in operations, when a customer walks into a store, that they might have great feedback on that touch point because the store is great, but they might not know that they're failing at a different touch point that makes it that experience. So really the focus is helping our customers, our clients, large companies, and I wouldn't say large, any size company, better understand all of the interactions they have with that customer and where they're falling short and where their strengths are. And the whole, back to your Lean Six Sigma comment, it's interesting as we built this company and who kind of our market is, who we're selling to. We sell to customer experience leaders, we sell to marketing leaders, and then we sell to BPO or process type folks who are actually lean certified, Six Sigma certified folks who are very, what's the word I'm looking for? They're very prepped, they've done a lot of process mapping, they've done a lot of Visio maps, sequencing events as they happen. This is kind of on those same lines, but a lot different because it's not necessary. Customer journeys across a large organization are not linear. You can't, out of 10,000 customers, you can't go and map. There's probably a certain journey that a lot of folks take, but there's so many different ways across these big companies and so many different journeys and so many different touch points that customers come across. And so it's hard sometimes to sequence out the journey and events unless you're focusing on a specific segment or persona within that journey. And our solution allows for that storytelling.
A question right here in the middle.
How about a button on your Facebook where the customers could nominate who you should go get as a client? Because I'd like to nominate just from yesterday, United Airlines and GoDaddy. But we could tell you who needs you. I saw you have American Express. They're doing great. I don't think they need you. And I'd like to know what you would say to Kathleen Sebelius.
Wow, that's this is being videotaped, so I might have to sidestep I like Kathleen Sebelius, and I don't fly United Airlines that often. I'm kind of a Southwest guy, and their process could use improvement itself. But yeah, I tell you what, I'd love to work with United Airlines. Maybe we could work together and collaborate on building some kind of viral social media campaign for them to get interested in our stuff. We've actually talked about a marketing campaign, kind of a grassroots effort, which fits the style of our company, to crowdsource a map and have customers build and assign touch points and attributes of that map. So think of the Starbucks experience. If we could somehow put out into the social ecosystem a way for customers to build their experience and build a map in our platform that we could then crowdsource and get Starbucks interested in our solution.
Question for you over to the left.
And I think you really hit it right there, but I'm curious how this pitch would look to the manufacturers, to the companies, instead of to the entrepreneur community, because I think it's been hit on a little bit here, but what you've really got is a tool to break down that wall between companies and their users, right?
Yes.
But I'm curious, do the companies realize that what you're really trying to do is protect them from people that are railing against them outside, right? The people who are metaphorically throwing a brick through their window on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, is that the kind of conversation that you're having with these customers so that they understand, with the companies, so that they understand that you're really giving them the tools to better interact with their customers? And if so, what are those conversations like? Is it really just own up to it, apologize, and fix it, right?
Right.
Instead of maybe what we've seen in the past where deny.
Yeah.
So, thanks.
That dynamic I feel is changing. Companies I feel are all more accountable right now, given social media tools and Twitter. It's amazing how you could post a negative tweet to some Fortune 500 company and they might actually respond and engage with you as the lowly U.S. Air or United Air customer. Yeah, so that conversation with companies, I think a lot of companies understand that they need to better or figure out and visualize their customer journey and understand all of the interactions and the touch points. And they're hard at work on it. I mean, our clients want to provide a better experience. They want to understand where they're falling short, and they want to be honest with themselves about it. They want to know, hey, we're falling short at this part of our experience. Let's fix it. You know, it's hard though, and I've worked for small companies now for probably the greater portion of my professional career. And sometimes it's hard to remember what it's like at a 10,000 person company. How many different functional areas exist? How many things happen in silos? And this tool is more about the process. So you know you need to fix some things. Let us help you organize this data, visualize this data, give you best practices on how to pinpoint and what information to bring into these touch points to really evaluate yourself, and then to socialize that across your organization, to bring light to where you're falling short, to what experiences aren't working, and then to help them fix it. That's probably more the conversation, if that makes sense, or hopefully I answered your question.
All right. I thought we had one more question, but we didn't. So we always like to ask, what can we as a community do for you other than Tracy getting you connected with United?
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
What can we as a room do to help you grow Touchpoint Dashboard?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, I hope you guys, if you're interested in anything I've shared today, feel free to sign up for a free trial and play around and model some data in our solution. I'd be happy to help. Call me and reach out to me personally if you want a demo. A big thing is that we're a Kansas-based company, and so Jeff I mentioned earlier, our main founder, resides out of Wichita, and we have an early stage investor in Kansas City. I work day in, day out. I reside in Lenexa, and I feel like we have more exposure over in Europe, over in Australia, than I do here in the local community where we're based. And so a big part of me presenting today was to get local businesses, local entrepreneurs interested and some exposure to who Touchpoint Dashboard is. And then the other thing I'd say, anything that, that there's investors in the room. While we're an early stage company, we've done a lot in a very short amount of time. And we face the same challenges that a lot of small companies do, and that is it's hard to get ahead of the growth, and we get caught up in long sales cycles. And while we're not out actively 100% pursuing investment, we'd be interested in the right partner and someone who gets our vision and who might want to sync up with us. It's part of it as well.
Thank you very much, Brian.
All right, so we have some announcements here. If we can get Rigo to come up, talk about Startup Weekend.
Hey everyone, my name is Rigo. I'm here to talk about Startup Weekend. He said, I'm gonna try something here, but I don't know. It was gonna be a shot in the dark. Who here, show of hands, has been to a Startup Weekend before? All right, keep your hands up real quick. For those that have not, look around, and then later on go talk with those guys and ask them about their experience at a Startup Weekend. For those who don't know what a Startup Weekend is, it's a weekend-long event where you can get to go from an idea to launching a company. On Friday night, you come pitch your idea, you form teams with developers, designers, non-technical people, and on Sunday night, you actually get to present this idea to judges around the community. So it's going to be, the next event is going to be November 15th through the 17th. It's going to be at the Kansas City, Kansas Community College New Tech Center. There is information on the Global Entrepreneurship Week agenda that you guys have. So go to kansascity.startupweekend.org to learn more. And for people in this room, we have a promo code. Usually it's $80, but we have a $20 off. And the promo code is 1MCKC, so 1 Million Cups Kansas City. If you have any questions, I'll be around here, and feel free to come by and ask me a question. Thanks.
Great, thank you. And to touch on that, Startup Kansas City, or Startup Weekend rather, in Kansas City was one of the first places that I started getting connected with the community. So I'd encourage you all, take a look at the website, give it a chance, and it's a really great weekend, great time to meet some other entrepreneurs and just have fun looking at a new idea. Next, if Melissa is ready, she's got an announcement for you as well.
Hey. Hi, guys. So this is actually for my day job. You probably know me as one of the 1 Million Cups community organizers. But I also serve as the executive director of a group called the Partnership for Tech Innovation. And we're going to be hosting, as a prelude to Global Entrepreneurship Week, a Johnson County Innovation Roundtable next Monday night at 6 p.m. If any of you have any connections to Johnson County and would like to be there, it's going to be out in Olathe. We'd love to see you there. But it's going to include, hopefully, some county commissioners, definitely some members of the state legislative delegation. So if you want to talk to the people who are making decisions about the issues that impact you as an entrepreneur on the daily basis, this is the place to do it. So hope to see you there.
Great, thanks, Melissa. Next, you get Barb Schulte to come. Yes, yes. She's going to talk to you about Global Entrepreneurship Week.
Hi, I'm Barb Schulte. I am in marketing here at the Kauffman Foundation, and all of you hopefully have found on your chairs kind of the full-blown agenda for Global Entrepreneurship Week. As we've said before, it's kind of so big in Kansas City, we can't fit it all into 1 week, so we actually start a week from today, November 13th, with a number of activities, and go all the way through Sunday, November 24th. So just really want you to take a look at this. Throughout this, it'll show you how to register for the various events that you're interested in. Just wanted to call your attention to a couple of things, specifically here at Kauffman. We're going to start out the week with Mark Echo, who is a global fashion designer and just design guru. He will be here on Monday, November 18th in Kauffman Labs, talking about his brand new book, Unlabel, Selling You Without Selling Out. And we have free books for everyone who attends, and he'll be signing these. And then Mark Echo will go immediately into our big showcase event for Global Entrepreneurship Week called Get in the Ring, the American Startup Clash. It'll take place right here, Monday night, November 18th, and it's going to be a big party. We have 5 kind of like very high-profile entrepreneurs who are going to be our judges. And we have 8 entrepreneurs from around the country who have qualified as finalists in this competition, one of which is from Kansas City, I Verify. And so we encourage you to sign up to attend. It's at Kauffman.org, GITR 2013. And space will be limited, so I encourage you to sign up quickly. And if you don't get in, we will also live stream it that night. But it's going to be a great time. There's going to be a full-size, well, not full-size, but kind of a mini boxing ring right here, and lights, action, all kinds of activity. And a couple other things. The following morning, Kauffman Fast Track will celebrate its 20th anniversary at the Roastery. So we encourage you to come there. It's time to talk and drink coffee and eat pastries and whatever. That goes from 7:30 to 9:30 at the Roastery Cafe's Bean Hanger down on 27th Street. And then that afternoon, there's a big demo day here that we've been working with Casey Sourcelink on. 13 entrepreneurs from Kansas City will present their companies. And then there's a couple of Kauffman Founder School events later in the week. So just really want to encourage you to take a look at everything and attend as much as possible. Thanks.
Great, thank you. One last really quick announcement. Next week, for 1 week only, 1 Million Cups will be back in labs. So next week, when you come or you're telling your friends, be sure that you know we will be in labs yet again. So we look forward to seeing you guys over there. All right, moving on to our next presenters. We have a follow-up presentation from Code for America. And Ariel and Andrew are here to let us know what they've been working on. So basically, this project goes into digital literacy, using tools online like tutorials and things, getting small businesses, as I'm sure many of you are involved in, up to speed on what's going on the web. So BizFriendly is here to give us a presentation. So give them a warm welcome.
Good Good morning, everybody. It's great to be back in Kansas City, and it's really great to be back at 1 Million Cups. It's definitely one of our favorite events to attend, and thank you for having us back. If you didn't see us in February, Code for America is a nonprofit. We're based in San Francisco, but we work with governments all over the country and now internationally, building new civic technology. This year, we're working in 10 cities with our fellowship program across the country. We're lucky enough to be here in Kansas City. Kansas City was actually our first joint application, so Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri, joint partnered to apply and got approved. So we actually work with both mayor's offices, which has been a really amazing experience. They asked us to come look at economic development, which is big here in Kansas City, with the specific asks of helping City Hall become more entrepreneurial and also helping City Hall serve entrepreneurs better. So we've been working within City Hall, so we kind of do 3 parts of our work. One part of it is consulting in City Hall on digital innovation. That includes things like passing some open government legislation over in KCK, as well as hosting some events in City Hall where we talk about the future of technology and really how they can be creating the future together with the community and with their internal staff. We also bring back a lot of our process. So we are a tech startup. We build technology. We also build in the agile development world. So we bring back prototypes, different versions. We're constantly talking to our city partners, but we're also bringing it to the mayors, out into the community, doing real user testing and letting people see every step of the way, even the parts that aren't pretty, so that we can build something really great together.
We worked really closely with City Hall to show them our process and to show some of what we wanted to do. But we've also spent a lot of time this year working with the incredible community here in Kansas City. Events like 1 Million Cups. This is astounding to us to see this many people show up every Wednesday, and we felt incredibly lucky to land in such a welcoming community. So we presented back in February, and now we're showing you what we've been doing this year. But we did a lot of other community organizing as well. We worked with a lot of different people and groups. The largest event that we threw was the National Day of Civic Hacking. We rented out a room at Union Station and had about 100 volunteers come for an entire weekend to use technology to help better Kansas City. And about 7 really, really great apps came out of that weekend. But I think the most important thing that happened was people got to know each other, and this new community around civic technology was formed. We just flew the flag and people showed up. So that has turned now into the Kansas City Brigade. The Brigade is a local volunteer group, meets twice a month to volunteer to use civic technology to help out Kansas City. You can join too, meetup.com, KC Brigade. There's 70 other people, and it's a really fun group.
Kansas City also has this amazing digital advantage. We don't really need to tell you about that, but we really like to cite this as one of the first steps to regional collaboration brought by the government, the mayors working together to really change economic development and give Kansas City this great digital advantage. It's also bringing business. You guys are here building great technology on top of fiber.
So we thought we'd come here and be building cutting-edge technology as well, but we found 2 more immediate needs that Kansas City was facing, as they were the first city in the country to be getting this technology. The first is the lack of equal access across the city for Google Fiber, and the second is the lack of digital skills to make the most of it. So we focused our year on these 2 issues. We were really amazed to see the national conversation about the lack of equal access and digital skills really being acted upon by these great groups here in Kansas City. Every other city in the country is going to be asking how to solve these same problems.
So we realized that there is a great opportunity by working in the mayor's office to rethink economic development through education around digital skills. So we've spent our year building a new civic resource with the cities and the community that helps ensure that your small business owners are not digitally left behind.
And so that's what we've built this year, BizFriendly. BizFriendly helps put the web to work for your business.
You'll find the latest web skills and services all in one place.
And one example of a skill that we want to teach a small business owner is promoting your business online. There's a bunch of other skills, but one service that's great for it is Facebook. One example lesson on Facebook is how to create a Facebook page. So here's our helper window on the right. you open it up, and then immediately it just brings you to the right place that you need to do to get this skill as a small business owner. So imagine this is Facebook or Google Docs or Mint.com or any tool that's useful for a small business owner. We've got really helpful instructions for this exact step in the process, and we try to provide really nice feedback about what you're doing as well. So the whole point of this is to remove any fear of doing something for the very first time online. Because you're a small business owner, you don't have time to learn this stuff. You don't have time to get over some of the hurdles. We try to make it as easy as possible. One of the great things about taking lessons on BizFriendly is when you're finished with the lesson, we keep really short, you actually have the thing that you've produced. You have a new Facebook page for your business.
We also know that teaching is the pinnacle of learning. So we've built an easy-to-use lesson builder that lets absolutely anyone contribute new content to BizFriendly. It's as easy as dragging and dropping elements. So we're going to drag some text over. We can then go ahead and easily edit that text, put in any instructions whatsoever. And then we can change the color of the box, helps us call out chunks of information. We can preview it. We know that the lesson really works. We can test out all those steps. We would add as many steps as we need. And then we ask people to submit it for a review so we can ensure that there's always great content on BizFriendly.
By learning and teaching on BizFriendly, you're joining a community of other small business owners doing the same thing, so you'll be able to see your accomplishments, but you'll also be able to see what skills your peers are learning to see what might be useful for your own business.
Thank you so much, Kansas City, for being really, really good to us this year. Thank you to our city partners who've been amazing to work with. Also our local funders, thank you. Kaufman is amongst them. For those of you who are in the room, thank you, thank you, thank you. We wanted to close actually with a 1 million cups story. So there's a lot of content on our site, and one piece of it are these videos. And we went out and approached video producers, which you guys are great in media talent here in Kansas City. And a lot of people said, what can you do for me? Can you introduce me to the mayor? You know, what can I get? And then we got to David Vickers from Iron Mule Creative. And he said, I met you at 1 million cups. I love what you're doing. How can I help you? So we want to share some of our Kansas City friends talking about BizFriendly.
Hey, you out there, are you starting a business?
One just starting or one that's been started?
You don't know where to start with getting your business on the web? Are you thinking about starting a business? Are you in the middle of starting a business?
Or one that wants to grow your market?
BizFriendly, check it out.
I know it can feel intimidating. You need help, and you can get it.
BizFriend.ly.
If you want to develop the technology skills to grow your small business,
check out BizFriendly and see
what this app can do for you.
And you might even be able to contribute
to help the other business owners as well.
Share what you've learned.
Mentor others who are looking to do what you've done. BizFriend.ly.
I encourage you to take one tiny little step.
Get your dream online.
Become the social media guru that you want to be.
In the most cost-effective, easy way that you possibly can.
Make your life a little easier.
BizFriend.ly
puts the web to work for your business.
All right, questions?
I'm just going to loiter over here until somebody asks a question on this end.
What's with the .ly? The people who need you don't get that. We're .com people. We don't even look up .org usually. I never heard of .ly. Couldn't you get a better name?
Oh, softball questions to start.
So we've been working really, really closely with the entire Kansas City community, particularly those organizations who work every day with small business owners. So to find a tool to help with digital literacy, we know people aren't going to be Googling digital literacy. That's not how that skill is developed. So with our partners to do the outreach for us, to make sure that the people who could use this type of free civic resource are being recommended it by their peers and by their advisors that they trust.
Next question to your left over here.
So I know you're from New York and San Francisco respectively, and your fellowship years are coming to an end, and you're going to not be spending as much time in Kansas City, but I would really like to hear what happens to BizFriendly after you're gone. Who takes over it, who owns it, who keeps it up to date, all those kinds of things. Where does the app go from here?
Absolutely. So those are some of the conversations that we're having right now. The city's really invested in keeping it going, as well as the local organizations that we've worked with all year. Similarly to showing the city all of the process, we also share that with quite a few of the community organizations that work with business owners every single day here. So we're working on not only building new content right now, but also its longer-term longevity plan.
One addition to that, the code to run the service and the content on it is all completely open source. So anyone can do whatever they want with it and maintain it. They can help add to it. They can make new versions of it very easily. They can set up their own versions really quickly. We've made it as extensible and redeployable and easy to use as possible for whoever could make the most of it.
All right, a question from Twitter. Bob asks, why can't we make better, more intuitive, more responsive public transportation apps?
Right. So, great question. So BizFriendly is definitely not the typical Code for America project. But we really came to this digital literacy realm through research about what issues that Kansas City, as well as many other cities, were having. So we see it as a real solving a civic need. So that's how we've tied it into Code for America. And there is an amazing group here in Kansas City called the Kansas City Brigade that meets twice a month and could use your help to build amazing public transit apps.
Yeah, we actually had a team start at National Day of Civic Hacking. It's called Awesome Transit Apps. Yeah. And they're working on getting all of the data from all of the organizations to all work together in a clean format. So there are people here in Kansas City that really care about that, and we've helped to push that along.
One other difference from our project, from a normal Code for America project to build, let's say, a transit app or something, is that we're actually working with both Kansas cities. We need to make sure that whatever we build this year is completely region-wide and completely accessible by everybody.
So I have a question over here on your left. So there's, I mean, the system looks amazing. It's extremely powerful. I know that I always say if my mom can use it, then it's probably great. How are you curating the content or actually getting the lessons brought on? I know anybody can make them, but what does that look like today? How many lessons do you have, and what's that looking as you're trying to recruit people to write them? Because again, if you don't have content, then people don't have anything to come for.
Yeah. So also to give a timeline perspective, we built our first prototype in April, so we did a pretty aggressive design and development timeline to get it to where it is. So we set kind of a measure for success for us was to build the structure and the platform and put up some great example content. So Andrew and I added the first 3 web services, and then we've been working with local organizations. So just in the last week, actually, Kansas City Library and KCMO CDE have both put up new content, and we're continuing to work and curate that content. So it's ever growing, ever changing, and we've also built in a lot of ways that as web services change, because we know they change a lot, we can easily update all of that content too and ensure that we're always teaching the latest.
Next question in the middle.
Hi, is there a way for those of us that feel like maybe we have something to share as entrepreneurs with a little bit of experience, is there a way for us to contribute? And if so, what type of content would you love to see on the site?
So we take 3 types of content. One is a skill, such as promoting your business online or managing finances, or it could also be interactions that you do with other organizations, such as the government, like doing business with your city or state. And that's kind of a broad level category. And then living within those are web services, so you can put up information about Teambox, about Expensify, Mint, whatever you're using, and give a general overview to that. And then we can build lessons. So we try to keep the lessons short, bite-sized pieces. So that was the drag and drop editor that we showed you. you can go on there, and we recommend that everything stays a short bite-sized piece, so under 12 steps, a nice little easy to do, teach someone how to do 1 or 2 things on the service in that lesson, and then have more subsequent lessons so they can get it on the fly, learn something quickly, but then come back and keep doing more. And then we're also really trying to celebrate through the Connect section that you're teaching. So if you are a business owner who's giving back, you can hopefully be on the top of the leaderboard for top teachers with your name and your business name, as well as as a top learner if you're learning. You're saying, hey, I'm really actively trying to improve my business right now.
A question from the ether. Mindy, watching on live stream, says, great idea. How do you make sure to keep your lessons current? For example, Facebook changes things all the time. How do you make sure your lesson is in line with the latest version?
So we have some automated tests set up to make sure that some of the interactive parts that we are using with the web services stay up to date. So we can see those kind of changes coming. But also, we have lesson editors, so we can go in and change things as they need to happen. So we'll be able to do some of that. Some of our partner organizations will be able to do that. And we just really want to build a community of people that really see the value in this type of tool to help curate it and help keep it going.
Question over here on your left.
Mine's a bit of a two-part. One, as is common, we've got some really great stuff, as most of us know, some really great stuff happening here in town, but it's really hard to get the word out to the small makers, the folks that are just getting started that really could use this type of information. And also, I was wondering, because is there also things on there as how they should be using it? I talked to a 2-year startup earlier this week that they're doing great, they're getting their product out, but they're doing it kind of on the global market type of platform, and they're not really connecting with folks on the personal level because they have things signed up, but they're just not sure how to use it. Are there resources on there for that type of things, like how to tweet, what they should be tweeting, things like that?
So as we're teaching you the how, we're also teaching you the why and some of the best practices. So in some of the sample lessons we've put up, we've shown here's a great example tweet, here's a great sample photo. So we are providing some of that supplementary information. Also, when you're on a web service page, we additionally link to outside resources. So some of the web services actually have invested in making great pages for how you should really use their service for your business, but then they don't actually give you the steps on how to then go do the thing. So we see us as kind of a complementary piece to that system of content that's out there.
A question here in the back.
Oh, hi. We've actually met at Connecting for Good. I was lucky enough to see the first version of it. I guess it's more of a feature request. If you've seen I think it's helpout.google.com. It's a real-time service. Would you think about maybe incorporating that into the program to where if a small business owner had a question, they can connect with another business owner, or maybe a teenager or somebody that's more fluent with Facebook and social media and things of that nature?
Yeah, the Help Out service from Google is great. They actually launched the same night that we did. We think we made them nervous, and so they had to go a little early. Yeah, there's a long list of features on the roadmap, and the code is open source, and so we're actually asking for everyone's help to continue to make this tool much better. But yeah, something like that would be great, like real-time additional help. We've tried our best at making the immediate feedback that you get in the lessons to be friendly and encouraging or helpful to steer you back on course if you so need it. But sometimes another person would be great for that. So it's a great addition to this. Thanks. Actually, from our launch event, this was pretty fun. We had a big launch party on Monday night, and we actually had the mayors from Kansas City, Kansas, Mayor Holland, and Mayor Sly James from Kansas City, Missouri, push up the final last piece of code to make the site live. It was our digital ribbon cutting. Great.
So you also have the first mayors in America on GitHub.
Okay.
Next question right here.
Hi, this is really important work. It's good stuff. Thank you for doing it. I wondered if you could comment on the open data initiative or movement, your relationship to that, what it means for the work that you're doing and other entrepreneurs that are interested in this space, and are you influencing that movement in any way?
Yeah, we didn't, we wanted to really show you guys the app, so we didn't go in very deep into our work in City Hall. It's something that is very close to Code for America. We actually just published a new book that's called Beyond Transparency. If you're curious, it's on Amazon. Little book plug for the organization. But if you're interested in the movement, it's actually a really incredible resource by the leaders across the country who are working in that space. Here in Kansas City, Missouri, you guys have a portal, but you don't have a policy. So we're working with City Hall on having both sides of that. And then in Kansas City, Kansas, you have the beginnings of some open data, open GIS data. And Mayor Reardon, before he left office, worked with us to push through a first piece of legislation that says we're dedicated to being an open government organization. It's really up to the next administration to be acting on that, and we have really been consulting to make that happen. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in government here in the next year. I feel like we've put a lot of the stepping stones in place. We also had we had like a dozen people come to our Code for America Summit from Kansas City back in October, which is kind of the big party around this movement that we're part of, which was great. And I just think there's going to be even more great stuff to come. We have great leaders and great employees that serve your city every single day.
And part of what this open data movement allows for is groups like the Brigade and other passionate civic technologists to make helpful applications to improve the quality of life or the ease of living in Kansas City. But it also allows businesses to make better decisions about the region. If they just know a little bit more about what's going on in the city, if they have more information about property or whatever, they can make transparent decisions here while opaque decisions next door.
A question here in your back.
So in startup fashion, how are your traction and growth numbers? And were your efforts kind of successful at making City Hall more entrepreneurial? And I guess one more follow-up is, do you guys actually compare how those numbers look for the whole class within the rest of the teams that are out there?
Yeah, so as far as our app, we launched on Monday, and we've seen a pretty skyrocketing amount of new users coming up every day, so it's really encouraging. With more content, that should accelerate. We have a broad series of metrics across all of the work we do, from structural change within City Hall. We look at certain key points of those outcomes, as well as the ways to look at the community, the impact of the community organizing, seeing how the events, are they able to affect things within the community, how the organizations that we work with, see if they're more involved on some of the topics that Code for America has identified as important, such as open data, such as new public open source applications for anyone to use. Yeah.
Hey, real quick, who again was here for the first time? All right, first timer. Whoever of you first timers has a question will get rewarded with one of these fine coffee mugs.
Oh.
we got two. All
right, you two have won.
She's had her hand up for quite a while. So.
She's had her hand up.
Yeah.
I don't know if this counts, it's not a question. But I'm Kathy Sachs, I'm with the Kansas Secretary of State's office, and we're here to find out how we can help. If there's a place for us to help with startups, to get government out of your way. We're part of the business portal, but someone asked about open data, and that's something we're very interested in. We understand there's value to it. We don't understand what that is. But we have the corporate databases. These are all open records. And so if you have ideas about that, we'd love to talk to you, because we do think there is a place for entrepreneurs in that open data field, and that government should make that available to the extent they have it. Does that count as a question? Not really.
We'll accept it.
Okay. Give me my bun.
All right, another question here in the middle.
I'm actually visiting from another meeting. I'm from Tulsa, first time here. You mentioned Kansas City a lot, but are there other cities that are on the map for you guys that you're looking at working with and helping grow, and what cities are in the near future?
Tulsa actually has a great Brigade and a great Mozilla connection. You guys are really a strong, another Midwest tech center, which is really cool. We think that most of the content that's on BizFriendly can be used by any business owner absolutely anywhere. Most of it is web services that we all use. I mean, they're national and internationally used. We also would like to see built out on a local perspective, doing business with your city, doing business with your state, probably doing business with your county as well. And really thinking about building out lessons that help serve those local needs, but that letting the user be able to quickly find their location and not have to look at all of the locations. We've also gotten our first lessons in Spanish, which was a really cool, that was one of the first submissions we got. And for you guys who are building tech, when people start using the things that you build, it's like the, oh my God, it's really working moment. We had a little awesome freak out over that in the office the other week. But also really thinking about how we serve more of the population and that not everyone is just speaking English. And the first lessons we got were actually for a web service that doesn't have a help section in any other language. So getting a tutorial in Spanish, even though the whole service is in English, is a huge, huge bonus.
As far as Code for America, so we're finishing up our one-year fellowship. And we were working in Kansas City. Other fellowship teams are working in other cities. They just announced the list of next cities on codeforamerica.org/cities. Really, really cool list, and the group of fellows next year is really talented too.
You guys are also lucky enough in Kansas City to have Luke Norris, who I don't know where he is, he's here somewhere, who's the head of government relations for Code for America. So we're very linked in here in Kansas City and the Midwest, but we do have people that are talking to governments every single day and bringing them on board.
So the customary last question, what can we do as a community to help BizFriendly?
So BizFriendly is live as of Monday. We want you to go on there and to share it with the people that you think could most use it. It's interesting as we built this service that can help someone learn a new skill, and then hopefully they don't have to go back for that same skill again. But if you see someone out there that could use some assistance in quickly, easily, and hopefully learning some new skills for them to run their own business, please recommend them to BizFriend.ly. And go on there yourself if you have a skill that you want to share, and go create some lessons around it.
There's also postcards at the back by the coffee, so grab a few, take them to business owners you know.
Thank you very much. And that is 1 million cups for another week. Reminder, again, next week we will be in labs. Have a great week, and we'll see you then.